We get the idea that trust in big institutions is fleeting, and this hour we're digging into exactly why. A big reason, of course, goes back to the 2007 housing bubble. Once the housing market crashed, however, confidence in real estate itself crashed along with it. And now home ownership is at a better than quarter-century low as Americans are pulling a 180 on this big American dream.
I don't have the money to buy a house.
Move too much, it's too much money, I'm never gonna have that much.
Can't afford to buy, so I rent. I don't think I'm mature enough yet for it.
If you buy a house, you have to stay there.
Why buy a house if you're just gonna fail on it, ruin your credit ratings?
Renting is easier, things are taken care of for you.
And probably because we're too poor, we have no money.
So as you can see, a lot of millennials are simply opting to rent rather than buy, but former Fannie Mae exec Tim Rood says that is a big mistake. Your argument is they're missing on a moment to make a good investment and make a good return. But if you think about it, then a lot of these kids are saying, I haven't seen that return. My parents haven't seen that return. What do you say?
No, thanks, Neil. I mean, so you just saw you just made the reference to the housing home ownership rates dropping to 63%. I think when you think about these numbers in the aggregate or in the abstract, they don't mean a lot. But there's a lot of financial implications when you think about every 1% of that drop is actually 1 million households that aren't owning a home. That means that's 1 million households that are paying probably 30% more a month for their living expenses. There are 1 million households that aren't going to see
They
it.
figure that they're also saving on the hassle and the risk of another meltdown. That's what they say. You say what?
Well, you're absolutely going to, I mean, look, there's always going to be some casualties in the housing. I mean, it's if you can get 95% success rate, which means 5% are going to lose their home to foreclosure, obviously it's a cautionary tale. But that's 95% of folks who are going to see the wealth appreciation of home ownership, which it's important to remember. The household net worth of a renter is like $5,000 in this country. The household net worth of a homeowner is about $150,000. But, Neil, the big picture was actually just accidentally exposed recently in a study on boomers. They showed seniors, when they passed away, how much of their financial net worth was in their house. And it turns out only 20% of these seniors, when they passed away, had any financial net worth beyond the home equity in their house. So you can imagine during the most prosperous time, that's the end result. We've got to really focus on how we can get more folks into housing today.
All right, but there are a lot of people in the last 7-8 year period here since the meltdown who would not have that appreciation at all. So they wouldn't even have the housing component of that wealth, right?
Well, I think people talk like that, but in real terms, you've seen about $3 trillion of appreciation in housing over the last 3 years. It bottomed out in 2012, but it is rallying, and we're still about 15% from the highs. So
you say give it time. Give it time and have faith that in time things come back.
Well, there's a huge demand push. I mean, the Americans are funny. There's, at no point in history have been more Americans who desire to live indoors. So, I mean, we keep growing the population. And ultimately, 65% historically are going to want to buy a house. You've even seen people who've lost their house to foreclosure. There's 6-9 million of these people that have lost their house to foreclosure that when polled, they still say that buying a home.
You're right.
They want back in. It's a good investment.
Quite a few who do. Thank you, Tim, very, very much. Good seeing you.
Thanks.